and and the rest of the dimensions you already know about it. So with a delayed production, with a shifting of the entire the plant, and also facing a sort of phase setback in terms of the promise that they had made to the consumers in terms of the offer of a competitive price tag car, that became one of the major issues where basically it started getting that important backlash. And then, of course, when you come up with a new product, there are a lot of bugs that are there, and you need to do troubleshooting. So definitely, just after the car started coming out from the Gujarat plant, one major episode that happened was that the car caught fire. Now, there could be a small electrical fixture. Generally, it happens that many cars actually they catch fire. So this short circuit, I think they attributed that it's an unsafe car, and that basically the story was actually it really got multiplied, and they could not actually counter all the negativities associated with it. So that's exactly one of the reasons why it got into the mind share that people felt that it's not a safe product to be, and that's basically how this product never kicked off, and was one of the reasons for the failure. So there are so many dimensions that are associated with the failure of this sort of a brand. These are some of the dimensions that basically I wanted to discuss yesterday.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. So today we intend to be looking at another important aspect, that is we would be looking at something called as the second P of marketing. We looked into the first P that was called as the product, and today we intend to be looking at the second P, that is all about the pricing. That is, how do we price the product? Now pricing plays a very important aspect simply because this is the dimension on the basis of which a product actually is bought. People generally buy a product for the reason that the product is there, but the value of the product is attributed from the pricing part of it. So we need to be looking at how do we create the right type of a price point in order to in order for the consumers to actually accept and appreciate the product. So the idea is that whenever you want to evaluate any sort of a product, that is any sort of a processing that is done by the consumers, the first important dimension is key, how much does it actually cost? So that's a very important aspect when they try to evaluate the value of the product in terms of the costing of the product. How does a company actually set the price initially for a product or a service? Now that's a very important aspect, and that we intend to be looking into this section that we'll be discussing in. Then how do you adapt the company exactly does a company go about adapting the price for different type of situations, opportunities, circumstances, as we just talked about the nano thing. Then how and when should you initiate a price change? Is it because of internal dimensions, or is it because of the competition, or is it because of the technological changes, or is it because of the value chain which exactly is impacting the entire product delivery system? Or should a company respond to the competitor's price change? And if they have to respond, how exactly do you go about it? So these are some of the dimensions we intend to be taking up in this section. We would also be looking at certain aspects where basically we would be looking at it. Now, an interesting aspect is how does price behave in a digital world? Now, in the brick and mortar setup where you're in the physical world, price actually behaves on a different way. But I have seen, and it has been observed, that you basically, in a digital world that we currently live in, we also have a price behaving in a very different way. Price behaves in a very elastic way. So effectively, the consumer actually today has at his fingertips information about the competitors. The information is literally free, and you can do a quick search about the different type of offers which exactly are there for a specific type of a product. So you can even get a vendor price comparison. So depending on how much the vendor is making, how much the intermediary is making, the end consumer already knows. So he says that why should I buy a product which is super priced, or abnormally priced. Also, the checkpoints or the various price points are very visible in the digital world because everything is freely available. You can name your price. Now, you can also set your own price. How do you go about that? That's also a very interesting thing. That is, you want a product at a specific price, chances are that you can get it if you are very smart and you know how to get it. Also, you can monitor the consumer behavior and tailor the different offers. You can also do like you can add different components and alter the price of the product as you want. You can customize the product offering for a price that you actually want to use it. Also, you can give customers can give access to special price. Like for example, you've got the different type of festivals or sales offers, or the like shopping festivals which exactly are there. You can actually have special prices. Like for example, if you're a Prime customer, Amazon Prime, you definitely have a different type of a price point. If you exactly are buying a product with a specific, coupled with a specific credit card from HDFC or Citibank or SBI credit card on Amazon or Flipkart, if they've got a tie up with that, then definitely you're going to get a 10% or a 15% discount that exactly is there vis-a-vis another customer who is actually trying to buy it on cash or on credit. Also, you can negotiate the price online and even in person. Now, that's exactly also a benefit that exactly can be done in the context of a not only a physical store but also a digital store. Also, you can also you can
So you are not audible.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I'm really sorry. In fact, we had a small surge and we lost the connection. So, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So now we can.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, we were basically discussing about understanding the pricing. So, in the context of pricing, you see basically uh, a changing pricing environment exists in the current times. So effectively, if you're looking at sharing economy, that's basically an important aspect towards the price environment. The economy is changing, and we exactly have a sharing economy. That is, we've got multiple entities which exactly are located across the globe, which exactly are sharing the different type of um, factors of production. They are bringing in their products, they are licensing the products in the Indian context, they are partnering in the entire business, and that basically creates a value system where economy is actually shared. Also, you have seen that there is something called as bartering. So you can exchange different type of services, you can exchange different type of benefits exactly, which exactly is there, and that also creates in something called as bartering. You can barter. It's not only like you can have a different type of goods which can be bartered, but services also can be bartered. And then there is a context of renting. You can lease certain products. You if you want to use a product, need not be that you want to actually own it, but ownership is important, and you can have the ownership, that is the only the ownership for a specified period of time at a specific cost can be incorporated in the context of renting a specific type of a product or a service. Now, I'm going to be talking about a very interesting
Excuse me, sir.
aspect.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. Sir,
Yes,
can you
yes,
please
sure.
explain the third point again? Renting one.
Okay. So let's say, for example, I'll give you an example of you want to purchase a Mercedes Benz. Okay. The price of the car would be something like approximately, let's say the lowest end would be something like about 35 to 40 lakhs. Okay. Now, 40 lakhs of rupees, if you want to actually invest for a car upfront, that's not actually a very wise thing to do. So what you can do is you can take this car on rent. That is, you can take it on lease. That is, you need not pay that 40 lakhs, but let's say, for example, you decide to first take it on lease. So somebody is going to act as a lesser and lessee. So as a person who exactly is using the car, that is, you are using the car, you will be the lessee, and the person who has actually given you this car would be actually purchasing the car for you. He's actually a lessor. So he exactly has purchased the car and given it to you, and you decide to use this car for 2 years or 3 years. Or even the organization, the Benz company might, the dealership might also, the Bharat Benz might also give it to you for something like around, let's say, about 4 lakhs of rupees, where basically is the type of rent that you pay for this car, and you use this car for 2 years. Now, in 2 years' time, what happens is the value of the car actually depreciates, and you actually get to use this car for a specified period of time, and you exactly get habituated of using the car, and you basically buy it at a lesser price. So rather than buying it at something like around 40 lakhs, you might end up buying it at something like around 36 lakhs or at 30 lakhs at the end of 2 years. And you have actually used this car for 2 years as well. When the car is depreciated, you bought it at a depreciated price. So this is one way of, this is how basically airlines also, they actually, when they want to buy actually these aircraft, they basically take it on lease. They don't own the aircraft, but basically they act as a lessee, and the lessor actually gives it on rent for a specified period of time. So that's also one way of using a service without actually owning it. That's basically something called in the way in the aspect of pricing can be actually used. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, Anand. So pricing decisions are actually pretty complex, and you actually would be trying to look at how exactly we are going to be looking at the entire revolution that is happening in the pricing context. Like, for example, you can get you heard of something called as open source softwares. Like, for
Yes,
example,
sir.
yes, so open source softwares has basically revolutionized the entire pricing dynamics of the entire computing industry. The IT infrastructure has exactly changed by open price systems. So technically, we know that, like, for example, sometimes Microsoft, Oracle, IBM, they basically have faced a major challenge when Google came into the play, because Google came with a operating system which was free of cost. And this basically gave the edge to Google, that they were able to market their hardware everywhere. So Chrome became a very important browser, which earlier was Internet Explorer, was actually occupying that space. And marketing insight says that giving it all away in the context. So if you're looking at the Android base, so basically one of the important challenges that Mac faces when it comes to competing with the Android platform is that most of its softwares are priced, but Android, most of the softwares in Play Store are free. So effectively, this aspect is also a revolutionizing dimension in the context of price. So we would be looking at all these dimensions also as we go along in this section. So the basic question comes here is, how does actually a price being determined about a product or a service? So exactly how exactly does a company price? So if it's a small company, the company actually owns everything. So if the company is the boss, so it decides, okay, I want to set a price for this as X. And if it's a large company which has a huge number of divisions, it has product lines or product managers, they all get together to decide on how exactly they need to price their product. So, but the question is how companies should price. It's not how companies price, but rather what should be actually done. So effectively, you should not try to uh, price products in isolation, but rather this pricing has to be done in the context that this is going to be actually acceptable by the consumers who basically are going to be using your products and services. You got to take them into the consideration, because as I said, even the product has to be co-created with consumers in the center of the core product. That's the product co-creation where the customer is inbuilt inside the production process or the designing process is a successful product or a service. Similarly, pricing also should be taken into account, taking into the consumer psychology, the consumer psyche, pricing psychology. Like for example, when you go shopping, now, I know that some of you are very good bargainers. You basically have the knack of bargaining. When you go there, you really know how to get the product at your perspective. Now, you must understand that there's a role reversal because now you exactly are playing the role of a marketing manager. As a marketing manager, you must try to understand the feelings of your consumers, how the consumer is now going to price or play with the bargain power that he or she has when he or she is coming to purchase the goods. So it's basically a game where basically you try to understand each other's psychology. You try to understand the consumer psychology from a marketeer's perspective, and the marketeer, then the consumer tries to understand the marketers' psychology when basically they try to go shopping. So effectively, pricing should be done by marketers keeping in mind the consumer's pricing psychology. That's a very important aspect. You've got to keep the customer in the middle of the entire pricing strategy that you design for a product and services, which exactly you intend to be selling. Also, there must be a systematic approach to setting price, adapting price, and changing price. You should not be making it very arbitrary or just not try to imitate the competitor just like that. But you should be very, very realistic. You should understand what exactly is the cost of production, what exactly are the overheads, what exactly are the reasons that you want to be in business, and how exactly the consumer is actually looking at your good, what exactly is the value that you intend to offer, the cost of the different levels of value. All these things go into building up of the price that you intend to keep for your product and service. So looking at the consumer psychology and pricing. Now, this is a very interesting aspect when I'm talking about how consumers psychology and pricing comes into play. I'm going to be talking about it here in the context of a product which all of us very lovingly would like to wear, and that is called as the blue denims. All of us have worn blue denims. So blue denims, or are they? A pair of denims made of one of the oldest fabrics in the world and a symbol of eternal youth. This sells for around 500 rupee or thereabout as a private label in a discount store on the street. If you go to Daryaganj and want to buy a pair of blue denims, you'll get it for around 400 or 500 rupees. Okay. Now, these are not branded, right? But a mid-segment brand such as Lee or a Flying Machine, this retails for something like around 1,000 to 1,500 rupees. Okay. Premium brands like Levi Strauss, they sell for something like around 2,500 to 3,500 rupees. And a pair of similar looking blue denims carrying the Armani tag will cost you something like around 10,000 to 15,000 rupees. So the same blue denim, which you can purchase at Daryaganj for something like around 400 rupees, for an Armani tag, you are going to get it for 15,000 rupees. Now, at the base level, blue denims are basically representing eternal youth, ruggedness, convenience, and durability. And at a mid segment level, fashion fit gets appreciated. So effectively, you've got different type of fits and the fashion and the finish. All of them are appreciated when you try to look at for this type of denim. I would add another dimension to it that is called as color. Color is also a very, very important aspect. But basically, we're talking about the blue denim. Okay, so Levi Strauss craftsmanship and a lifestyle. It's all about shapes and not sizes. While Armani sells exclusively and towards status, each targeting a different segment, displaying a different consumer psychology. So effectively, the same blue denim is priced differently across different price points for different type of consumers who basically are either brand conscious or style conscious or where they have purchased it, or what exactly is the brand actually representing. All these things actually impact the price takers, that is acceptors of the price at the face value. So effectively, we have got to look at something which is called as something that is called as the reference price, price quality inference. Like for example, if you go and buy a product, you would like to, when you go and buy an ice cream, okay, so you would like, you get an ice cream for rupees something like about 25 or 30 rupees. And if you go to Baskin Robbins, you can get the choice ice cream that you want to have. So effectively at a different price point. So effectively, when you try to think that the price is inferred with quality, that higher price means higher quality, lower price means lower quality. It's a cheaper product. Also, you look at something called the price endings. Like if you want to purchase a product for under 399, now, basically, in the price range of 300. So technically, what we do is we try to put a price point of 399. So when you put a 399, technically it means around 400 rupees. But when you look at 399, it's the three you actually look at. You're not looking at 99. So you feel that this price range is under 300. So this is good. You know, this is a good product. But probably you're paying only 400 rupees. So this is also called as price ending. So that also plays a very important aspect, and it's called a reference pricing, a price quality reference and price endings. These are also important aspects which exactly are important for setting of the pricing. Now, let's look at reference pricing, the first aspect that we were discussing. Now, possible consumer reference prices. The first is fair price, what customer feels that the product should cost. So, let's say, for example, you want to have a bottle of water. You want to buy a bottle of bottled water, that is mineral water that you want to drink. Okay, it's a 1 liter bottle. So, you feel that what should be a fair price? Anybody would like to respond to it?
20 rupees.
Yeah.
20. 20 rupees.
Anybody else would like to come up with another price point? Yes. Beyond Yasser, anyone else would like to respond?
Sir, I like
10
you
rupees,
have
sir.
12 rupees. Ahmad Said says 12 rupees. Yes. Anyone else?
6 rupees is also available. Small 250 ml bottle of
No,
Bisleri.
no, I'm talking about a 1 liter bottle. Please keep it
1
in
liter.
mind. Yeah. So 12 rupees for you. Okay. Yes.
30 rupees
Sayatan?
is 30 rupees is also there.
No, no. I mean, I'm not saying what is there. I'm asking you what should be a fair price. My question is, what should be a fair price of a bottle of mineral water or 1 liter bottle of mineral water? Yes. Anybody would like to respond? We've got two price points, 20 rupees and 12 rupees. Anyone else?
So, I don't know if it's common or not, but like whenever we are going to a railway station, we get that
Mhm.
20 rupees bottle for a rupee value of 30. So that
Okay.
20 turns to 30. So yeah, 30 can be a price.
Okay. Now, it's an interesting observation which Anam has said, that the 20 rupee bottle becomes 30 rupee in a railway station. I get your point. Uh, this is um, this is how basically, but basically my idea is that I want a fair price. But what should be a fair price? What do you think should a bottle cost of mineral water? A packaged bottle of mineral water, how much should it cost? 1 liter.
Sir,
Sir,
8 to
20
10.
it's fine.
8 to 10.
Oh,
Okay.
20 it's fine, I feel.
No, no, no. You feel it's for 20. Dushyant feels it is for 8 to 10. Then we have got different, Pratika also, Ahmad Saeed also. They've got different people, Sayatan also, the Sayatan also. They feel that it should be for 20, or it should be for 12, or it should be for 30. I'm not challenging anyone. This
Sir, I
is,
think it will cost, the manufacturing cost will be around 5 to 10.
please,
So
please, please, please.
actually, sir,
No, no,
they,
I'm not getting into that. I just asked you a simple question that आपको कितना लगता है एक बॉटल पानी की कीमत होनी चाहिए 1 liter mineral water. So yeah, so basically again, Adil, what I'm trying to say is that for you, a fair price could be one. For Anam, a fair price could be another thing. For Dishant, it could be something else. For Kritika, it would be something else. So effectively, there could not be only
So it will
one.
vary now.
Yeah, it will vary. It will definitely vary.
It will vary
One.
person to person.
Yes, it
So,
is going to vary from person to person. That's what I'm basically trying to come to. So technically, what I'm trying to say is fair price is what a consumer feels that the product should cost. So definitely different people, they have different orientation as to how much the product should cost. Okay, so it is not like I feel that it should be for 10 rupee means you should also feel it should be for 10. Because probably I can afford a bottle of drinkable water at 10 rupee. Probably you can afford it at 20 rupee. Okay, or somebody can afford it, like Anam said, in a railway station, it could be available for 30 rupees. But that's the need. If you are in a railway station, you want to catch a train and you want to get a bottle of water, you have to pay 30 rupees. So effectively, that's a situation where exactly this has become a price. But then we need to be very, very clear about it. So probably if it's offered for 50 rupees, she might leave it. She might feel that, no, this is going to be super normally being priced, and it should technically be priced maximum, chalo 25 rupees ki 30 rupees mein I will try to buy it, but I'm not going to pay 50 rupees for a bottle, for a liter of water. This is going to be too exorbitant, isn't it? So technically what happens is this is the price at which I consider it fair. Now this is again perception based. It will not be fair according to you. It is fair according to me. So I don't challenge that. कि मैंने जो बोला है तो वही होना चाहिए. So this is what consumers feel that the product should cost. Right now, there are different categories of consumers, different variants of consumers, different consumers in different situations. You know, the same bottle of water is going to cost different in an airport. The same bottle of water is going to cost different in a railway station. The same bottle of water is going to cost different in a restaurant. When you're sitting in a restaurant, depending on the category of restaurant, again the bottle of water is going to cost differently. So effectively, the idea is the same customer in a restaurant setting, when he's gone for a dinner, he wouldn't mind drinking a bottle for something like about 30 rupees or 40 rupees, because he's having about spending about 2,500 to 3,000 rupees worth on food. So he doesn't mind, spending about 25, 30, 40 rupees for a bottle of water. He doesn't care. But the same customer, when he's going in a bus station and he's there to catch a bus, 40 rupees a bottle is going to be, he's going to go literally crazy. He's going to say, oh, this is cheating, isn't it? But in the airport, when he's getting the same bottle of water for something like about 60 rupees, no problem. Because that's basically the perception of a situation that the person is. Now, the same person behaving differently in a different place, and the fair price changes situation specific. So I'm not saying that all the time situation specific is the dimension that you need to consider, but you can also consider the category of the consumer as well. Okay, because I've taken a product which is not excuse me, I'm in a class. मैं थोड़ी देर में बात करूं आपसे? Thank you. So sorry for that. The idea is we have to look at how we are trying to evaluate a fair price. Now, fair price can be like different in different type of situations. Then we come to something which exactly is called as a typical price. Now, definitely a typical price is the basis of which we base our fair price. Now, this technically means that we are not going to be looking at any reference point, but a typical price is a reference point. Excuse me, just a minute. I'll just take this. Hello. Walaikum salam. भाई साहब मैं अभी क्लास में हूँ मैं घर पे नहीं हूँ आई एम इन द क्लास मना कर रहा हूँ आपसे sorry for that call from the office the situation basically means that when we have a mindset that when you're buying a bottle of cold drink 300 ml bottle of cold drink we know that it should be priced at something like around 12 to 15 rupees, because that's the price which has been set by Pepsi. The same price is being followed by Coke and so on and so forth. So effectively, when we want to purchase any other brand of cold drink and we want to see that what exactly is the price point, so we would actually use that as a typical price point or as a reference price point. So we would like to see that how much deviation is there from typical price to the reference price. Is it less or is it more? The same 300 bottle of a cold drink, which exactly is sold by Pepsi or is being sold by Coke, we want to use it as a typical price, and we would like to see how much about the reference does the new product actually come up to. So let's say the new product is priced at something like around 13 rupees or 12 rupees. So we would say, okay, it's near the reference point. But if it's priced at 6 rupees, then I'd say this is probably not going to be that quality product which exactly we are purchasing because it is priced too less. But if it is, let's say, priced more, then we would like to compare it with that aerated drink and say that this aerated drink is priced a bit too high. So we exactly are trying to use a typical price in order to compare it with uh, a reference as a reference price. Then the last price paid. That is, last time I paid so much amount of money. Again, let's say for example, I go to take the fuel in my vehicle, and all of a sudden I feel that the price that I paid last time was about 98 or 97 rupees a liter, and suddenly that the price has actually gone up to 108 rupees a liter. So I might say there's a gap of something like around 10 rupees per liter, which exactly has happened. Now, the reference price I have paid is from the last price that I paid for getting myself that same product or a service. Then we've got something called the upper bound or the lower bound price. That is the maximum price I'm ready to pay and the minimum price that I'm ready to pay. Now, I'm going to actually have this range. Now, this range is also very much person specific. That is a high point and the low point, something very much like the fair price. So fair price can be lying somewhere between the upper bound price and the lower bound price. So ये maximum हम जा सकते हैं, मतलब this is the range, the tolerance that we can actually have for any sort of a product or service. So basically, when we also use something which is called the for the upper bound, we generally use the word called budget. That ये मेरे budget में आता है या ये मेरे budget में नहीं आता. These basically are referring to upper bound price and the lower bound price. And then we've got some sort of a historical competitor. That is, historically, competitors are pricing the product at a specific price point. So we should try to use that as a reference point. Then expected future price. Now we feel that again summers are coming, and today we all of us would be looking for these aerated cold drinks. So we know that the last time we were purchasing it for 15 rupees or for 20 rupees. So we basically are expecting that again this year also the prices are going to be around that 80, 15 to 18 to 20 rupees would be the price. Then we would also be looking at something called the usual discounted price. Then that is 30% free is what we expect every time we are trying to purchase a sort of a product, or we want to actually try to get that free is always going to be there. So we are expecting, like for example, if you want to buy a product and you would like to have so much amount of free usage along with it. Now that's a standard that you're going to get 10% discount every time you go and buy a book from a bookshop. This exactly is the usual discounted price. So today, student discount 10% होता ही है. When you go to any sort of a bookshop, you want to buy a book, you'll say that I actually am a student and I should get a 10% discount because that's basically what every bookseller gives to a person. So that's basically some sort of a reference that you are actually using in order to look at the pricing. Then when we come to setting the price, we exactly the prices are set with certain type of objectives. We would be looking at setting the price. We do actually a steps. These are basically steps which we are taken in order to set a price. And we start with selecting the pricing objective. What is our pricing objective? Now, we generally have different type of pricing objectives. Like there's this hotel chain called Marriott. They are good at developing different type of brands and variation for different price points. Like for example, you have the Vacation Club. Then you have the vacation villas, which are the highest priced. Then you've got Marriott Marquis, which are high priced. Marriott, then you have just the Marriott hotels, which are actually high medium price. Then you have the Renaissance. These are the medium high price. Then you have the Marriott Courtyard, which are called the medium price. Then Town Plaza Suites, these are medium low price, and the Fairfield Inn, Marriott Fairfield Inn, these are the low price. So effectively, on the basis of the different categories of consumers, you have got a different type of variants which exactly have been created for the different categories of customers, and that's one important aspect of selecting it as a pricing objective. Then you try to look at the demand. How much amount of people are going to purchase different products at different price points? That will be the next step, that is the demand for different type of goods and services. Then you come to estimating cost. That is how much cost actually incurs in creating a product and a service. Then you analyze the competitors' cost, price, and the offers which are being offered by the competitors. The fifth step goes to selecting the pricing method. We'll be discussing about the pricing method and then selecting the final price. So at this point of time, I'll be taking you to a very interesting caselet that we have. This is about the Bangalore Metropolitan Corporation. I will just uh, Nisha, can you just fire this? Thank you very much. Thank you. We're running on low battery out here. Thank you very much, Nisha. So now we will be looking at this caselet called Bangalore Metropolitan Transport Corporation, now BMTC. This has earned a daily traffic revenue of 37 million from its 6,098 vehicles carrying around 4.26 million people per day. The BMTC serves through 47 bus stations and 33,200 employees. It offers several categories of bus services. First is the Vayu Vajra Airport service, an air-conditioned and convenient service from Bangalore International Airport to the city. It utilizes posh Volvo buses. Okay, the service has weaned off even corporations and the rich from personalized modes of using this for going to airport rather than using their own cars or their fleet of cars. At rupees 5 per kilometer, this service is available round the clock on multiple routes with limited stops. The Vajra service deploys AC Volvo buses that are Euro 3 compliant with kneeling mechanism, a collapsible exit floor, and room for wheelchair. This is a premium service offered by BMTC, that is Bangalore Metropolitan Transport Corporation. Available in almost all localities, including the arterial and ring roads of Bangalore. This service is priced at rupees 3, rupees 2 per kilometer, calculated for 10 kilometers and 25 kilometers respectively. The ordinary bus service is available on 582 routes, with the city alone represents an affordable price transportation facility for the city. The charges is approximately 1 rupee and 33 paise per kilometer for a travel of 10 kilometers to 25 kilometers respectively. There are other services also like Big Ten, Pushpak, Swarna, and other specialities. BMTC has also got a special service that are tailored to suit the specific requirements of consumers, commuters like students, factory employees, corporate staff, etc., etc., and they are usually contracted out by chartered services. So effectively, you see, this bus service is providing different category of services for different type of commuters, whether it is for students, whether it is for people who are going to factories on a daily basis, or whether it is for holidayers, or whether it is for airport commuters, or whether it is for local commuters from one part of the city to the another part of the city. They have designed the different categories of services, and there are different pricing objectives that they have created in order to it, and they're very, very successful about it because they're offering the same type of buses to cater to the different type of services we are offering to the different categories of commuters. So effectively, this is a very important aspect when it comes to deciding the pricing objectives. So some of the pricing objectives could be that you want to create a survival sort of a situation. There is companies who want to survive, in the very competitive world, you want to actually survive. So you decide on a pricing that I have to actually survive in this business because this business has become very hot and there are many players that have entered into the business. So survival is my objective. Second is that I have got a unique product and I actually am actually a market leader. So I want to maximize the current profit. I want to do skimming. I want to skim the profits from the market. So that's my objective. The third is I want to maximize on the market share. I want to control the entire market like Pepsi or Coke. I want to have a major lion share of the market. So I would like to go at any length in order to capture the entire market so that once I capture the market, then I can actually play with the prices. Once I have a control in the entire market and there are others, I've driven others out, I've driven the competition out, so I can actually then get the largest market share. So that could be another objective. The third could be maximum market skimming. Fourth could be product quality leadership. And then there could be other objectives also. Like, for example, if you're looking at a university, it aims for partial cost recovery because knowing that it's relying on the government in order to run the entire cost of the services, educational services, a partial amount of it tries to generate from the fees of the student so that its objective is not to maximize like private institutions, but it's the government institution. It wants to just see to it that the students actually feel that they are not getting anything for free. They basically are actually uh, owning the service. They basically are not getting it. They're not getting any sort of a charity, but basically they are. You're not actually challenging that they're going to give you for free for charity, but basically you don't feel low about it, and then you actually are paying your fee in order to study. So it's actually something. The objective is a partial recovery objective. Now here, basically, we will be looking at one important economic. So these basically are the different pricing objectives. It could be survival, maximum current profit, maximum market share, maximum markets skimming, product quality leadership, other objectives. These are there. Now, how do we determine the demand? Now, that's one of the very important aspect. So we need to be looking at something called as price sensitivity. So how people are sensitive to price. I gave you the example of a bottle of water, bottle of the mineral water, and we saw that how people are sensitive towards it or not sensitive towards it because its value is, of course, water is very essential, and purified drinking water is very essential for anybody and everybody. So, but we want to actually look at the sensitivity. We want to estimate the demand curve, that is surveys, price, experiments, and statistical analysis, and then price elasticity of demand. That is whether it's an inelastic demand or whether it's a elastic demand. I think somebody wants to join at this point of time now. That's not proper that when we're trying to finish the class, somebody's trying to join. I want you to please take a note of the person who's just joined and try to make it very clear that the person does not get the attendance because this is not the point to join. So the objective should not be to just join the class, but it should not be to actually get something back. And in this process, you end up entire irritating everyone in the class. So, but so please try to actually join on time, and please don't try to do this sort of prank. So we coming back to the second step, that is determining the demand. We exactly are looking at the aspects of price sensitivity, estimating the demand curve, and price elasticity of demand. So we would be looking at all these dimensions again. This is about 1:45. We were supposed to have finished. It's about 1:50. So that's about it for the day. Thank you very much, students. We will
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
next class as
Thank
well.
you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you. Take care.
Assalamualaikum,
Allah
sir. Thank you.
Hafiz.